Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alan Smith from Cognovi Labs, and I'm here today to talk to you about the problem of using publicly available information to predict what people are going to do next. We live in a world today where there are literally billions of online interactions happening, where people go to share their thoughts about brands, products, political candidates, you name it. And if you were able to tap into this massive flood of information, you'd be able to measure things like how people feel about a given brand or product. And if you can measure this, you can start to make predictions about which way the company's stock prices are going to move, which has, well, obvious benefits. But it's not just commercial. PAI becomes incredibly valuable around election time. People share their opinions on politics online, even if sometimes it's a lot more often than we would like. So, with this massive wealth of information at analysts' fingertips and a wide array of solutions at analysts' disposal that tell you whether people are talking good or bad about a subject of interest. We have all these things, so that sounds good, right? Well, what's the problem? Well, if you've ever used any of these tools, you pretty quickly come to find the limitations on the predictive capability. The fact is, you absolutely have to go beyond the positive and negative of sentiment analysis. So what do you look at then? Behavioral psychology tells us that when you're dealing with people, you're not dealing with creatures of logic, you're dealing with creatures of emotion. In fact, it's been said that up to 70 to 90% of human decisions are based on emotions. So to get any real predictive capability, you have to go beyond the positive and negative and look at the underlying 6 core emotions. And those are joy, anger, disgust, fear, sadness, and surprise. These are the signals that you have to look at because these are the emotions that drive human behavior. And when you look at the emotions, you get to leverage several decades of research and knowledge in behavioral psychology to help you measure what's really important, and that's motivation. So as our collective understanding of extremist violence grows, the more we learn about what drives them. And no surprise there, it's emotions. But the interesting thing is, when levels of specific emotions go above a certain threshold in group communications, that's an early warning sign that things could actually turn violent. These are anger to motivate the group, contempt to devalue those who are outside the group, and disgust to drive them to want to eliminate the group. And a lot of this communication doesn't happen in English. And with the high demand for linguists in the intelligence community, they don't have time to manually sift through all this information. So that's why we feel that incorporating these signals into existing indications and warning processes could add significant value to the intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance mission. So how do we do it? We start by analyzing the text using natural language processing techniques. And we use these features and our machine learning models to automatically extract the emotional undertones that are being expressed in that text. And from there, we apply our models that are informed by concepts in behavioral psychology. And that helps us interpret what these combinations of emotions mean and what it means when they change over time. This is how we predict how likely a given group is to take action. And we do this with speed and at scale. Other companies who are looking at emotion analysis are almost exclusively looking at facial and vocal expressions. And as for our competitors in social media analysis, they're almost exclusively looking at real-time alerts and sentiment analysis. And while these two things definitely have their place in the DoD and in the private sector, they lack Cognovi's predictive power. And that predictive power has gotten us some important results today. We've raised nearly $4 million in outside capital. We have paying clients across several verticals, including finance, corporate, and political. And in the political vertical, we've made some predictions on some important elections. We called Brexit 4 hours before the polls closed. And in the most recent US presidential election, we correctly predicted Trump would win 10 out of the 11 swing states. We did this by leveraging several years of R&D that came out of Wright State University with funding from the Air Force, the Department of Energy, and the National Science Foundation. Since then, we've commercialized that technology, continued the R&D based on client feedback and real-world applications, and we've grown into 3 office locations. So our current client focus is on the financial vertical, where we have several large paying clients like Bloomberg, and quantitative and fundamental analysts at multiple hedge funds have already validated the predictive power of our signals, and they're already making stock trading decisions based on this. In the corporate world, we provide competitive analysis through client feedback, and we do this by going as detailed as the level of individual KPIs. But it doesn't stop with just these verticals. So in addition to developing our multilingual capability for indications and warning for the intelligence community, we're on the cusp of releasing a product that'll enter us into the advertising and emotional marketing vertical, where our models have already shown some very promising results. And with the wide breadth of applications of our technology, we also have cybersecurity on our horizon. And there's a significant market potential across all of our verticals, starting with the finance vertical, where the alternative data market itself is growing at an unbelievable rate. And to take even a thin slice of the massive business intelligence and digital advertising verticals would be a massive opportunity. And here's the team at Cognovi that's going to lead us to that opportunity, whether it's a diverse set of experience, whether it's coming from one of our former senior finance executives to a world-renowned researcher in semantic web and artificial intelligence. From software engineering to psychology, our team is incredibly proud of all the gray hair that it's earned. So, if listening to the future can help you in your mission, we should definitely talk. Thank you.